Yeah, so one of the cliches that goes along with recovery is that to keep it, you have to give it away. In order for us to stay sober, we have to help other people.
So Sue and I are both in recovery, and at the time we got the idea, I was her sponsor through AA, and we Sue invited me to take a trip up to St. Paul, Minnesota, because she had a friend up there that was in recovery and was living in a sober house. So we road tripped up to St. Paul and we were introduced into what sober living was. And so we had a wonderful weekend. We went to one of their AA meetings at the house, and when we were driving home, I looked at Sue and I said, "We ought to do this." She said, "Do what?" And I said, "We ought to do a sober house in Iowa City."
So a sober living home is a transition between what we all typically think of inpatient rehab for substance abuse and the person actually moving back to their pre-treatment living environment. So it provides accountability and structure. It places the person in a supportive environment with other women who are also in early recovery. It fosters, facilitates acquiring those skills, knowledge, and lifestyle changes that are essential for long-term recovery. So it's a bridge between your typical 28 days in rehab and actually transitioning home. And that's important because 80% of people who finish an inpatient rehab or 28 days, 80% will relapse within 90 days.
I think from my standpoint, I was fortunate enough to have a very, very supportive family. My husband was the one that actually picked up the phone and made my appointment to go to treatment. I have three grown daughters, and they have also been supportive. But the thing that sober living could have done for me is give my family a break from the constant worry that they have since admitted was going on in my early recovery.
Yeah, so those are kind of opposing forces, right? But there are some inroads into that, into the recognition of how excess, anything, can be bad even for young people. And there is a bar that's opened up in downtown Iowa City. That's a dry bar. That's a step in the right direction. There, as we said, lots of 12-step meetings. And it's important to note there's a pretty strong young people's recovery movement in the Iowa City area as well. So I think those things are the safety net that's kind of the counter, the yin to the yang of excessive consumption and access and expectation. We're thinking we'll open sometime next year, hopefully late spring, summer. So we're have a lot of grants in now, and I have a lot of confidence that we're going to get there soon.
It was just that momentum that I guess Sue and I both feel that it was our higher power, which I think we both, call God, but that this is meant to be.
Right.
And no matter how long it takes to get there to open our doors, it'll be when it's ready to be.